A big escalation in Russia-Ukraine war on day 68. Ukraine claims to have destroyed 2 Raptor boats of the Russian Navy in the Black Sea using unmanned combat aerial vehicles. Raptor boats are equipped with 2 machine guns and can carry about 20 personnel. This is a big hit by Ukraine after the Russian Black Sea fleet Moskva's sinking.
An armed Russian boat prowling the Black Sea off the southern coast of Ukraine. The boat has no idea it has been spotted from the skies. And then this happens. In the blink of an eye, the 55-foot Russian patrol boat obliterated over the waves. Minutes later, a second boat is seen speeding away, but it's too late. This boat too has no escape because it's been struck from the skies by a relentless bombing machine. The Ukrainian government claims that these are images of 2 Russian Raptor-class high-speed coastal patrol boats, bombed into oblivion courtesy laser-guided bombs delivered by Ukrainian Bayraktar TB2 drones. The strikes on these 2 boats is enormously significant. They capture the first time in this war that these drones have actively engaged and destroyed Russian naval assets.
In over 2 months of the war, Ukrainian combat drones have got a lot of success by hitting their targets. But now, for the first time, they have achieved this success over an open ocean. Now, there are reports that Ukrainian combat drones have successfully hit Russian boats in the Black Sea.
The laser-guided munitions used in this new over-ocean attack are likely the Russian MAM, a smart micro-munition designed to hit both stationary and moving targets with devastating accuracy. The destruction of the 2 Russian Navy patrol boats will be a painful sting for Putin's war machine, coming 18 days after the sinking of the Black Sea Fleet's flagship cruiser Moskva, an incident that is still sending shockwaves around the world for what it means to Ukraine's defense capabilities. The 2 boats struck in this manner may be much smaller than the Moskva, but the signal from Ukraine is clear. No matter how small the Russian asset and no matter where it's operating, with the help of American and Western intelligence, electronics and targeting sensors, nothing will be out of reach for Ukrainian weapons. Bureau Report, India Today.
And Ukraine claims to have used the deadly Bayraktar drones from Turkey to destroy the Russian armored boats. In initial days of this conflict, Ukraine used the same Bayraktar drones to take down Russian missile and tank units. Here is a report on how Ukraine has used its Brahmastra, the unmanned combat aerial vehicles, to take on the Russian forces in this unequal battle.
Perhaps the most compelling aerial image of Ukraine's counter-strike on its invaders. Look carefully at these infrared images. What you're looking at is a Russian missile position being struck from the skies by a Ukrainian drone. The drone said to be raining this hell on Russian forces is the Bayraktar TB2, a combat drone fleet supplied by Turkey in 2019. These drones carry 4 laser-guided missiles that have proven highly effective in combat. The TB2 has a flight time of 24 hours and a communication range of almost 185 miles, with a service altitude ceiling of roughly 25,000 feet. Additionally, some of these drones create a disturbing sound when approaching their targets, which can be psychologically unsettling. The chief of Ukraine's Air Force, Lieutenant General Mykola Oleshchuk, describes the Bayraktar TB2 drones as life-giving. Each Bayraktar TB2 system consists of 6 aerial vehicles, 2 ground control stations, 3 ground data terminals, 2 remote video terminals, and ground support equipment. Bayraktar TB2 UAV can carry a maximum payload of more than 55 kilos. The standard payload configuration includes an electro-optical camera module, an infrared camera module, a laser designator, a laser range finder, and a laser pointer. Ukraine is the latest instance of these formidable attack drones in action. Bayraktar TB2 drones were heavily effective for Azerbaijan against Armenia in November 2002, as testified by multiple videos that emerged at that time. A precursor to this was the success of the TB2 drones against Russian-made weapons in Syria and Libya. Key aspects like low visibility and detectability thanks to the low radar cross-section makes this drone slick and agile. It is interesting to note that earlier this year, Turkey and Ukraine had an agreement in place to co-produce Bayraktar TB2 drones at a production site in Ukraine. Ukrainian Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov told reporters in Kiev that the co-production compound would also include a training center where Ukrainian pilots would be trained. This had caused a lot of resentment and anger amongst the Russian defense establishment back then. And with the drones striking Russian targets once again now, expect things to escalate further from the air. With Sai Kiran Kannan in Singapore, Bureau Report, India Today.
Ukraine has in the past 68 days mounted far better resistance to Russian forces than many expected, with of course help from arms and ammunition that they're getting from the West. The United States is ramping up their military support to Ukraine, including sending a consignment of the M777 155mm ultra-light howitzers and of course Brimstone ship-based guided missile systems to hold off Russia's advances.
Ukraine's fight back. Its monumental homeland defense for over 2 months has overwhelmed world headlines. A former Soviet state flooded with Western weapons to take on a gigantic invader has come to define a reloaded Cold War amidst the heat of a very real battle. And now, after over 2 months of death, destruction and damage, 2 more Western weapons have been lined up for the Ukrainian military. The United States has just cleared consignments of M777 155mm ultra-light artillery guns for Ukraine. A handy and powerful weapon is also in service with the Indian Army. On Thursday, the US Department of Defense released these images of M777 guns loaded into C-17 transport jets for a ferry flight to Ukraine. The Australian government has also shipped sets of M777 guns to Ukraine. The M777 is an ultra-light howitzer gun that has seen action in Afghanistan, with the capability to fire shells, including smart shells, to ranges of anywhere between 25 and 40 kilometers, and will highly welcome for Ukrainian border artillery units looking to target Russian positions. The other weapon system cleared for delivery to Ukraine is the Brimstone ship-based guided missile system. British media reports suggest that the weapons could be supplied both in their anti-ship as well as land attack versions. The missile could pack formidable close-in punch on small ships and boats in the Black Sea, a theatre where the Ukrainian military scored the mother of all kills recently with the claimed sinking of Russia's Moskva cruiser. The Brimstone could prove an even bigger nuisance to the Russian Navy's Black Sea assets. The two new Western weapons join a steady flow of military hardware into Ukraine, allowing the invaded nation to mount a credible defense of territory despite the enormous damage done to its soil. The weapons have been cleared at a decisive time in the combat. The latest Russian missile attacks on Kyiv, weeks after Russia had de-escalated in Ukraine's capital, suggest that Putin's war machine could still attack in areas it disengaged from. The escalation ahead will clearly see more advanced weapons and likely more destructive combat. Bureau Report, India Today.
This is serious. It's a signal of times to come. Nuclear submarines from the United States, the United Kingdom and France have docked at a naval base in Scotland as tensions escalate between the West and Russia. This comes at a time when the Russian President Vladimir Putin has threatened Europe and the United States with dire consequences in the Baltic region in case Sweden and Finland take membership of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
The third month of this war, and Putin's war machine shows no signs of really pulling back. From Kyiv to Kharkiv to the hellscape of Ukraine's Mariupol, Russia has been trembled, but Putin's iron fist remains in the battlefield. Now, with Sweden and Finland signaling their intent to join NATO, Putin has warned that there will be nuclear consequences in the Baltic region. Russia, remember, has already placed its nuclear arsenal on operational alert, brandishing them before a nervous world. But just as this fresh geopolitical quake sends shivers across Europe amidst escalating tensions between Russia and NATO, a small naval base in Scotland is seeing a not-so-secretive Western muscle flex. Nuclear submarines from the United Kingdom, the United States and France have all converged at Scotland's Clyde naval base in an apparent show of nuclear strength to a Russia that has stocked nuclear since the beginning of the Ukraine invasion. From a US Navy Virginia-class nuclear-powered cruise missile fast attack submarine to a French Rubis-class nuclear submarine, the nuclear submarines of the two NATO powers arriving together has been projected as routine, but the messaging is undeniably pointed at Russia. The Clyde naval base is also home to the Royal Navy's Vanguard-class nuclear ballistic missile submarines and Astute-class nuclear attack submarines. In other words, American, French and British nuclear submarines converging to send Putin a nuclear-tipped NATO message. While these NATO nuclear attack submarines are built for sustained and rapid underwater operations that can prove a nightmare to Russia's maritime forces, ballistic missile submarines are a whole different deal, lurking slowly and visibly, waiting for orders to deliver weapons of mass destruction at land targets. Russia's own nuclear ballistic missile submarines, remember, had ventured into the North Atlantic at the beginning of this war as a similar message to NATO. But Russia's recent test of its most capable nuclear missile, the Sarmat, has heightened nuclear temperatures dramatically and could be seen as the latest in a series of nuclear moves by Russia, compelling NATO to reciprocate with some well-defined power projection. Nuclear war may be unthinkable, but how high can such temperatures really go? Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, that is all we have time for on this special broadcast. Many thanks for watching. News and updates continue on India Today. Stay with us.